Hey everyone, wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. We're here with the latest episode of the Inside Crypto Show, interviews and discussion with regular people just like yourselves. Today we are joined by Rob Solomon, co-founder of Dimo. Dimo is a VC-backed Web3 startup that lets drivers share anonymized data in exchange for tokens and connected vehicle features. That sounds cool. Before we get started into all that cool stuff, let's talk about Rob, how he got to where he is today, his background, some of the cool paintings on his wall behind him. And Rob, tell us about yourself.
These paintings are from Target.
Oh, okay. They look cool.
There's nothing special about these. My name is Rob. Got my start in Las Vegas working with Tony Hsieh on the downtown revitalization project. That was a sister company of Zappos. Notably there, I was doing finance and investing, but we were implementing holacracy, decentralized org structure. So I started to get into this idea of like systems design back then. I left, went to vroom.com. And so I got some automotive e-commerce experience, which is helpful now with the Demo. But I was still very interested in this whole like decentralized org structure thing and just better systems generally. I don't think holacracy is particularly, I wouldn't recommend that for companies, but there was something to this idea of more scalable organizations. And so when I came across Ethereum, read about DAOs, read about identity use cases and so on, I got really interested in that, started going to meetups. Couldn't keep myself away. So I left Vroom and joined Consensus, and I was at Consensus for 4 years. And then at Consensus, I was happy. I love those guys, love what they're doing over there. But then Andy, a friend of mine from college, came back around with this idea for Dimo, and it was too cool not to join. So I joined as the fourth co-founder. The other guys have backgrounds from Andy from Transdev and Waymo, from our CTO from Ford, Mitsubishi, Volkswagen, GM, and Alex from Chainalysis and other startups. Got a good mix of automotive and crypto background on the team.
That is awesome. Like you said, like the background of your co-founders is just like, it's interesting. That must make sitting in a room together pretty fun, tossing ideas around and fixing problems.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you said your friend came around, he pitched you the idea for Demo, and what was that one thing that like you just said, it was cool, right? What was that one thing, if you can tell us?
There were multiple iterations. The first version of Demo, it's actually still an awesome idea, was self-driving is not really ready for prime time yet, but where it is ready would be like in a controlled setting, like a parking garage. So imagine you drive up to a parking garage, you get out of your car, it just goes and parks itself. Maybe you could fit way more cars in this garage, because now they're all just like locking themselves in there. And when one wants to pull out, like a few of them move out at once, one pulls out, then the rest pull back in. And they're just like this autonomous valet system, right? And in order to do that, you'd want to 3D map the garage. You'd want to have external sensors that can feed information back to the cars, cross OEMs, all that kind of thing. So Andy was starting to work on this in Palo Alto. But as you might remember, the start of the pandemic had a chilling effect on driving, and parking garages were pretty empty. So there wasn't as much interest. The interest fell off for that one. But still, this like idea of cross OEM, cross automaker communication and transaction and identity was starting to form. I was hearing about these different iterations of Demo as it was going. The next version was a knowledge graph for public infrastructure projects, less relevant to what we're doing now. And then the next version was Yev and Andy were now working together on, and one of their clients that they were contracting with, they were doing some services work on the side, was requesting electric vehicle battery data, and they just weren't able to get it anywhere. They were trying to buy it. They were thinking about paying people to put these devices in their car to get the battery data from their vehicle. Simultaneously, they're mining helium. So seeing that whole model, started to put the two together, and that's where they started talking to me about this. And yeah, it was like, not only did helium talk about why I thought it was interesting, not only did helium show how you can use this new model to bootstrap a two-sided network where you build up the supply side with token incentives, and then the demand side comes because you built up an attractive pool of supply. So in our case, we could get a pool of hundreds of thousands of cars, and then that makes it very attractive for a developer who wants to build apps for cars. So that model's super interesting. But even more importantly, and honestly, the main reason I couldn't not work on this project was there's plenty of useful use cases for blockchain, but there haven't been that many that have like really made the everyday person go, oh, I understand why blockchain is useful now. Like, obviously settling international payments instantly for pennies, if people have ever had to use Western Union, they understand how valuable that is. Or people live in a country where their currency is being devalued relentlessly and their money is being seized from them, and they understand how valuable coin is. So I'm not saying there's not plenty of everyday use cases that people get. Your average, you live in the US, your friend's mom you couldn't list a single reason why they think blockchain is valuable. And in the case of Dimo, we want to rebuild like identity from the ground up for automotive. When you think about how this industry works, it is archaic. Like it was designed 100 years ago. When you go to sell your car, like you bring a piece of paper, that's your title, you like sign it, and you give it to them, and they fax it, and then someone faxes it back, and then they get involved with it. You go to buy a car, there's a bank, they shop your rates around to multiple banks. They come back and tell you a bank that they don't tell you which banks they went to or what their best rates were. And surprise, like a lot of times they pick the bank that gets them the best deal as the sales rep, not the one that gets you the best deal. And so there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes, gap coverage, extended warranty, financing, insurance, whatever. It's all faxing back and forth and paper documents. And it's getting a little bit more digital, but it's still pretty old school. You're still using a VIN, which is just as archaic as like a social security number for identity for the car. So we want to build a new, robust identity and telemetry and transaction infrastructure for automotive, right? And if we were to build a company, call it like DMV server, nobody would use it because you're not going to get Ford and Tesla and Geico and Chase Bank and all these other very fragmented, decentralized players in the industry to agree to all use some proprietary company's closed source server. Hey, we might pull the rug out from underneath you at any point. We might start charging you 30% like Apple does with their app store fees. You need something that's more open, something that's more kind of global, credibly neutral. And that's where the distributed ledger comes in. So blockchain is a very loaded term, but if you just think in terms of an open, censorship resistant, trustless distributed ledger, then you can see why this would be important for this industry to feel comfortable adopting it. I really think we have a very valid use case for decentralized blockchains. I don't think the idea could exist without a blockchain. As a fan of blockchains, it was too cool to be a part of a project that really, made true use of the kind of ledger aspect, the cryptography aspect, verifiable credentials, all that in a real world useful use case.
Okay. That was an impressive introduction with a lot of details.
It's long. I promise not to give every answer as a 10-minute monologue, but you got me excited on that one.
That was perfect. Like it filled in a lot of details. It answered a lot of questions. I guess to people like listening to the podcast, right, or watching the video up to this point, right, they're like, okay, this sounds really cool, but some people might have the misconception that, okay, this is strictly like a B2B thing for regular people. They can't get involved with Dimo. This is not like getting involved with Polygon or the Ethereum project or something like that, right? Is that true?
No, absolutely not. No. So the other side of this equation is, and the way that we're going to market with this is, it's everyday drivers. And we're working with fleets and larger operations as well, for sure. But the kind of the bread and butter, the majority of users on Dimo are people who've connected their cars. By the way, if you have a car with a software connection, meaning maybe you have the Ford Pass app on your phone, you have a Tesla, and you have the Tesla app, if it already has that type of connection, you can probably connect it right now to Dimo for free in 2 minutes. Wow. So maybe while you're listening to this, you can add your car. If you have an older car up to 2008, that's more of the kind of analog mechanical, doesn't have its own internet connection. Most cars older than 2018 or so, or even some newer ones that have maybe an incompatible software subscription. There's a miner that we sell that you can plug into your car. And we call it miner, but it's an OBD telemetry device that goes into the standard port in every car. And that can read signals off the vehicle and sign and send data for you. It actually has an Ethereum wallet on it that plugs in. Yeah, definitely everybody can start driving with Dimo, but I would encourage everyone to just download the app, connect a car. You can see interesting insights about your vehicle, depending on the car that you have and its level of support, because we have to, especially for the miner, we have to decode the DBC codes that come off the CAN bus of the vehicle. And they're not fully decoded for every vehicle, but a lot of cars will get tire pressure and fuel level, oil level, the range on your vehicle, some interesting stuff like that. That's you can see them on a map, which is just like it's such a simple thing, But if you and your significant other want to track multiple cars, and there maybe one's an Infiniti and one's a Mercedes and one's a Honda, whatever, there's not like a good app for that. You could throw AirTags in every car, but then only one person. You actually can't share AirTags across iCloud accounts. Like, they make weird noises when they're in there. It doesn't give you anything else. Like, it's actually a pretty good app for tracking multiple cars across automakers today. And then also importantly as well, we are building up this marketplace inside the app. As I mentioned, we're making it more attractive for developers to come and build apps. And so already we have a few apps for refinancing, vehicle intelligence concierge, people who can like help you make decisions about your car, how to maintain it. There's a mechanic you can book that comes to your house, and we'll feed it the kind of like the data of what's going on with your car so they can make more informed decisions, that kind of thing. And that app marketplace is only going to get more and more robust. So yeah, as an individual driver, absolutely, you can connect your car, earn tokens, make use of the marketplace. There's a lot of things for you there. And then, as you mentioned too, on the B2B side, one thing that we're doing is democratizing access to the automotive infrastructure. So whereas before, if you wanted to build like a Uber, you would need like venture capital and 10,000 people to work at your company and be like a massive enterprise. And we're trying to make it so that a team of 5 in a hackathon could deploy decentralized Web3 Uber, where it's like, cool, if the driver has the right credential, when the trip provably happens, because we're verifying trips, then use these crypto rails developed by the Dimo protocol to settle payment between one actor and the other. And they're really just building an interface on top of the protocol. Yeah, for small development teams, for individual drivers, there's a lot for you.
Nice. That's exciting. I've got to ask, right, you mentioned Ethereum wallet, so I assume you're building on top of Ethereum as the first question. And then as the second question as well, I started off in crypto like most geeky computer people. We're just talking about it before the podcast, right? It's like I have lots of extra GPUs, 2017, a simple $200 GPU can net you 0.3 Ethereum, right, per month, right? And I like getting a helium miner in the later years was extremely difficult because it was all sold out everywhere. And especially if you're not living in the States, it was even more difficult. Like I am on the other side of the world, 12 hours ahead of you. So with the Dimo, with the miner, right, what's availability like as the second part of that question?
Yeah. Hey, it's available right now. Go to shop.dimo.zone. It's there. And I think they're selling for, I think they're at 360 right now. Every week, 1.105 million Dimo tokens are released to drivers.
Okay.
And how you connect. So the miner will earn up to 6 times more than just the software connection, because 1, people have to pay for it, but 2, it's a direct connection to your vehicle. If you connect with your software connection, there's actually 2 intermediaries in the middle that we're dependent on, and it's a little bit more precarious of a relationship. So it's incentivized to use the miner. You can use both, by the way, too. You can connect the software, and you can still order a miner and get even more data and more rewards for it. But those tokens are split amongst users. I believe it's still in the 300 or 400s, that number of tokens people are getting per week with the miner. I have to check on it for the software connected device. The longer you've been connected as well, that also matters. So if you've been connected for a couple months, then you'll earn a little bit more. So I think the numbers I'm thinking of are for me, because I've had mine connected for obviously for a while. And yeah, availability is good. Rewards are going out seamlessly. There's also a way to earn more by referring friends and using the marketplace. You almost think of the token in some ways to be like an airline reward point that you get back. In the case of Amex, it's when you spend the card. In the case of Dimo, it's when you interact in the marketplace, you get some tokens back. Yeah, plenty of ways.
And then going to the other question, Rob, is so Dimo is built on top of Ethereum, right?
Yeah, it's built on top of EVM. The token was initially minted on Ethereum. We, for cost reasons mainly, really only for cost reasons, we bridged it to Polygon and have been conducting issuance on Polygon. The Dimo Foundation is conducting issuance on Polygon, and vehicle ID NFTs. So whenever you add your vehicle, you're actually minting your vehicle as an NFT. The hardware miner and the software connection that you establish with your car also minted as an NFT, and they're binded together on chain. And this isn't just so you can set your profile picture with your car, which you could do. You can. You actually have that NFT in your wallet. But it's really more so a deeply programmable identity primitive for your car. It's a superior way to represent a car as opposed to a VIN, because cryptographically secure, can transfer ownership on chain. You can also set roles on this NFT as well. Like you can specify who gets rewards For that vehicle, you can specify who can access the vehicle's data, lock and unlock the car, see its location, all as roles on the NFT that you can set on chain. Anyway, so you get that as well. And that's also on Polygon. We really like the Polygon team. And really the main reason, two things they've done super well. One is onboard the world and enterprises into useful blockchain use cases. They've working with Reddit and Starbucks and other companies like that. They've shown a real kind of ability to get a lot of people using blockchain. And the other thing is their investment in ZK EVM technology and the acquisition of the Mirror team, Polygon Zero, Polygon 𝕬𝕤𝕤, that kind of stuff. Polygon identity. Like they've just been a good actor doing great things in the EVM world for a long time. So we're happy to build on the Polygon proof of stake chain, but that's a temporary home for Dimo, at least for like the issuance and NFTs. Eventually there'll probably be some migration to a ZK EVM L2 or like a Coinbase base type of optimistic L2. But I guess the headline is EVM will be in the EVM world.
Very cool. And I guess another question, some people might be listening to this and be like, okay, I'm driving my car, I'm sharing my data with you, and people are like, oh my God, privacy alert bells, Cambridge Analytica, that sort of stuff. And people are like, oh yes, Facebook uses my data to make money. Are you using Dimo data to make money? Is that's fair, right? Because you're paying people with tokens to get their data. So I mean, maybe you want to clarify that.
For people who have this concern, this is exactly the project for you. Like we're trying to be the solution to the thing that you're upset about with other companies. Right now, when you connect your car, in order to earn rewards, you opt into data sharing. And per that data sharing, Digital Infrastructure Inc., the company that operates that mobile app, is allowed to sell your aggregate and anonymized data. So it can't like share your location. What allows our company to do is sell reports that are like Tesla batteries in the Northeast when it's cold get 80% range. Your data could be included in that set, but we can't ever sell like here's where Bob goes back and forth to work every day. We are able to collect it. Users can set their privacy zones inside of the app. So you can set some hexes on the map where we will trim your GPS so we can't see precisely where you are. We'll still show you on the map a more precise location, but in terms of how it's stored and then eventually transmitted externally, like for whatever other purposes, that would be lopped off. And again, it's aggregated. So we take that part very seriously, but even more than as it sits today, the long-term vision for Dimo is that users will be directly in control of their data. So much like you are with email, right? Like you can use Gmail if you want and be less in control. You get better spam filters and UI, whatever. But you can also use your own, host emails on your own server. You can use Proton Mail, you can whatever. So there will be other, we call them node operators, or you could be your own node operator. You could self-store your own data. And effectively you can think of what the miner is doing is it's an Ethereum wallet that's plugged into your car that is issuing verifiable credentials about your trips. And so you could store those. And then when you take them to an application, it can be sure that, hey, based on the cryptography of this EVM wallet on this thing, we can be sure that this licensed device that we can see minted as an NFT on chain, we can tell that it actually did issue these credentials about this trip, that this trip happened, that the car was going this, whatever. So it can be sure when you present your own data that it's valid. And if it follows the protocol spec for how it's stored and served and whatever, then you could self-store your own data and share only with who you want. And we're super interested in zero knowledge proofs and sharing only what you need to. So I think privacy is one of the things that we're really leading with and is the core to what we're trying to build. We're at a good place now, and we're only going to get much better in terms of privacy options for users.
Rob, going back to something you mentioned earlier, you mentioned the use of the Dimo token. I want to talk about, like we talked to the founder of Circoin before, and he talked about different uses of their token. What are some of the other uses you hope for the Dimo token beyond inside the app usage?
This could definitely evolve over time, but there's already plenty of ways to use it. One, it's used for governance. People who have the Dimo token ultimately control how the protocol works. And there's very clear, the docs.demo.zone/governance specifies exactly how that works. There's been plenty of proposals passed already. I think we're up to 7 with a few amendments in there as well. And as I mentioned, the tokenomics can evolve over time and have more uses and more things to do with the token. And it's gonna be the token holders who control how that works. So that's not as exciting in the short term, but it ultimately gives users the control to make sure that it stays exciting long term. 2, It's used by people who want to build on Dimo. So if you want to build applications, you want to be one of those node operators that I mentioned earlier who stores and serves up user data, things like that, there's a kind of, we call it bonding. It's like staking or like a security deposit that you have to put up. We stay away from the word staking just because people assume that means that they can just stake their tokens, earn a yield. It's not really that kind of thing. It's more of a, if you want to be this trusted actor, this licensed actor, you have to put up a bond, and then you get a license issued to you by the token holders via a vote or by a team that they've delegated to do that. So useful for that. It's useful for transacting in the marketplace. I mentioned kind of airline miles earlier. And you know how you can go to Delta, right? And you can book a flight with $800 cash or sometimes 60,000 Delta miles or something like that. And usually it's cheaper, it's better. You want to use the miles if you can. So similarly in the Dimo marketplace and with various other services, trying to make it, and this isn't exactly live today, but in all cases, but making it easier for people to transact in the marketplace using the Dimo token. There are certain things that you can do on chain, like minting a Dimo canonical name for your vehicle. It's like an ENS, right? So I have rob.demo, like that costs, some Dimo, or is already a cost of 25 Dimo to mint the device that the NFT of the device that goes into your car. And there will likely be other fees paid in Dimo to mint other things and do other on-chain transactions. A lot of that it's more or less live today, can be expanded over time. I wrote a piece on this. We can put it in the show notes, but demo.zone/news. And then there's a post that's closest to the top called On Dimo Tokenomics that kind of goes into a lot of the different uses of the token and how it could evolve over time.
That's perfect. Like, thanks for sharing that. I will definitely include that in the show notes as well, beyond the Dimo show links as well. I do want to ask another question as well, because when you're talking about, like we just mentioned, like you're in New York, right? I'm in Taiwan. And one of the most common questions, I have had a few Taiwanese guests on, but not that many. So I have to ask this question is, what is Dimo availability? I don't have a car in Taiwan. Like a lot of Asian people ride electric motorcycles here, but like a lot of people do drive cars. Can I start using Dimo here in Taiwan?
No, unfortunately not. We are in the US, Canada, and most of Europe at the moment. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is language isn't the biggest issue. Obviously, people speak English and can know how to translate the app. Then you can internationalize things relatively quickly. It's mostly different privacy laws in different places and different VIN standards for decoding the VINs of vehicles in different regions. Yes. We know how to take a VIN from an American car and decode that back into the make, model, year of that vehicle, and then put the right template on the device that you plug into your car for decoding that specific car. Much harder in other geographies that have different VIN standards and don't necessarily have a service ready for decoding that VIN. And then I may have mentioned already like the different privacy laws and regulations for moving into countries, registering for taxes, all that kind of stuff. So it's honestly, it's not that bad. It's just, and we can certainly start to expand into more regions. We also want to make it so that other companies, other individuals, whatever, can bring Dimo into more regions. So there's a difference between the protocol, like the Dimo protocol, and Digital Infrastructure Inc., the company that has been selling miners and built the mobile app. And the protocol, it lives on a digital blockchain, international nation state. The Digital Infrastructure Inc. is the one that's like registered in different countries and operates in different countries, whatever. So anybody, if there was a licensed hardware device and some other company were to sell it to people in Taiwan, for example, and store that company's or those users' data and build a client for them on top of the Dimo protocol, then great. There's not even any permission from Digital Infrastructure Inc. needed for a company to start to do that. The token holders have to approve the licenses of the projects that are doing the data storage and the building of the miners. But so we want to make it easier for other companies to enable new regions and create potentially incentives and future airdrops and things like that for people to take Dimo into new regions and expand. So definitely a priority for this year to make it even more international.
Nice. So is that what you did in Europe? Is you're working with different partners who brought Dimo into their local region, or is that still?
Sort of. Digital Infrastructure Inc. is still selling the miners out of its store, and they're still using the Dimo mobile app. There are third-party logistics companies in Europe that do fulfillment. And even, I should say, like, our Dimo already is like a decentralized project with lots of people contributing in the ecosystem. The company building the miner, we're not building these miners. It's a company called 𝕂𝕂 based out of Denmark. The manufacturer of those devices is in Poland. We have the three-party logistics companies are in Portugal and the UK. And not only is 𝕂𝕂 building the miner, but they're also building like a fleet UI that would in some ways compete with the Dimo mobile app. Like it's more of a, it's built more for fleet use cases. The Dimo mobile app is built more for individuals, families, that kind of thing. Yeah, we're already seeing some shades of that, and we'll lean further into it this year.
Nice. That's exciting because I think that would be awesome to have I saw something on Facebook, I don't know how long ago, like a little card and it rewards you for driving around, and I'm like, this has got to be fake, but at least I know one thing, Dimo is real and it's exciting, and I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, and maybe next year sometime be like, hey Corinne, did you know Dimo's finally available in Taiwan? I'm like, sweet.
Yep.
But yeah, no,
we have seen it pop up in some interesting places. People would buy their miners like in the US and then take them and plug them into cars elsewhere. And if the VIN decodes, if you have an American or European VIN, maybe you've imported your car or whatever,
cool.
It might work, but there are definitely some countries where it certainly cannot work. But yeah, I would encourage anybody who is in a region today to connect, and anybody who's in a region who wishes it would come to their region, I guess download the app, because we're still looking at where the app is being downloaded. Like we have a lot of downloads in Brazil, so maybe Brazil's the next place that we expand into or something like that. So at least download the app so we can see where people are.
Okay. I'm gonna convince Taiwanese people
requesting it
to download this app so we can get Dimo in Taiwan. Rob, it is the morning your time. I want you to enjoy and have a luxurious morning, so I don't want to keep you too much. You've said a lot, and one of the coolest things about today's podcast is you have a lot of technical details that I think is just awesome, and fill us in on a lot of background about Dimo. But yeah, now's the chance, the floor is yours. Any sort of last minute things you want to say, take as much time as you want, anything you want to plug that you didn't mention, up to you.
Yeah, I would just say get connected, start to play around with it. Some of the best ways to learn about projects are by playing with them. I would also say too, if you're one of those people who believes in crypto and is sick of people saying there's no real use cases, it's just JPEGs and trading crypto for crypto, and you can't name anything else that it does, Dimo is a great app to show people, hey, there's actually useful and interesting things being built on it. Not only is it useful to them in terms of interacting with their car, we also make it incredibly easy to use. We limit the use of any blockchain jargon. I don't know if we even mentioned blockchain in the app or NFT. We call it a vehicle ID. We do say wallet, but even there you have the option. You have the option to use Rainbow, MetaMask, soon Coinbase Wallet, maybe some others coming soon. But you also have the option to use an in-app wallet, where it's just you just log in with Gmail. It constructs a wallet for you and makes it all very seamless. So this is definitely the app, the blockchain app that your parents could use and not be confused by it and start to like it and start to understand it. It's a great app to onboard those in your life who are maybe a little skeptical or don't get it yet. And yeah, follow us on Twitter, join our Discord, whatever, stay up to date, get involved. Not only can you connect your car, but you can contribute to building out this network and this protocol. And yeah.
That is a good reason. I definitely need that, because despite being involved in crypto for the last 5 years, I still get that question, what is the real use? So yeah, I'm going to make sure Dimo's on my home screen, so I can this is what crypto's for, and just show them the Dimo.
Yeah.
Rob, so I've got all of Dimo's socials. I know you're on LinkedIn. Would you like to share your Twitter for people to follow you?
I'm Rob M. Solomon most places. So ROBMSOLOMON.
Cool.
And yeah, probably Twitter is the place to go for that.
Okay. Then that'll be down in the show notes for the podcast. So Apple, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you get a podcast, you'll find all of that. Don't forget to click on the more details button on the YouTube video as well to see all of Rob's socials. Follow him there, follow Dimo, check it out. If you have questions, you can always contact me and I can forward them to Rob, or just contact Rob directly and ask them himself. Rob, thank you again for your time, and hopefully we can talk to you again in a year or so. And I can say, yes, I've convinced 2 million people in Taiwan to download the Dimo app, and so now you got to come to Taiwan.
If you get 2 million people to download the app, then I promise you we'll prioritize coming to Taiwan.
Sounds good. So. I'm going to make sure this is recorded so I know.
Yeah. Alrighty.
See ya.
Cool.